Alright, good evening. So today will be the third sharing from the journey of completing this book. As I introduced later, I think I did make a bit of error on a number of chapters. So this particular book that was introduced during the early Northern Song Dynasty, we have altogether, if you look into it, 263 chapters. So altogether 263 chapters. And so we have done a few, and we are on our journey to complete the entire literature. So once we have done, you basically graduate from, well, not the entire metaphysics, but just one small branch of metaphysics, which is the Pachi, And of course, as I would like to share once again the journey of how we interpret this. So I think I did start earlier with the understanding that if you study biology, basically biology is what we call the applied. Biology is basically applied chemistry. So therefore, this is where if you study biology is chemistry, and chemistry is basically applied physics. Chemistry is actually applied physics. So if you study physics is basically just applied. And of course, physics is applied maths. So in the world of science, science is of course the study of natural phenomena. So therefore, science, these are the three key branches of science: biology, chemistry, and physics. And of course, all comes to the maths. And so as we look into, let's say, for example, the studies of essentially we look into the study of traditional Chinese medicine. So traditional Chinese medicine is basically also applied Bazi. It's also applied Bazi. And Bazi also can be, in a way, it came from Qimeng. So Qimeng came earlier. Qimeng came earlier. And of course, all came from the oldest book in the world, which is the Yi Jing. And of course, along the line, this represents the Chinese metaphysics. And besides this Chinese metaphysics, there is also other branches along the way, which of course from the early part, we also have basically from the Greek, the secret geometry. Secret geometry. So the secret geometry and Yi Jing shares some similarity, and therefore it helps us to also come across. Right. I mean, let's say for example, if you look into the concept of natural, the concept of single cell, the concept of a single cell. So humans, of course, upon the conception of a human, we have a single cell. And the way that we understand from my high school level of biology is that the single cell will split into two. It will split into two. Two cells. It will split into two. So it will split into two. So one cell will split into two cells, and the two cells will split into four. And then of course the four cells, as we know, will split into 8. And then 8 will split into 16. Now come to 16. And then of course 16 is 32. And after 32 is 64. Now in terms of vortex mathematics, if you use what we call vortex mathematics is where we reduce every digit into one, a single digit. Therefore, 16 means 1 plus 6, and 1 plus 6 means 7. 1 plus 6 is 7. 3 plus 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. And 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. And 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. Therefore, it comes back. It comes back to 1. So as it comes back to 1, and after 64 will be 128. And 128, 1 plus 2 plus 8, 8 plus 2 plus 8 is 10, 10 plus 1 is 11 is 2. And it comes back, So that's why if you look into I Ching, how many hexagrams are there? How many hexagrams are there in I Ching? There are 64 hexagrams. And reason why 64 hexagrams is because after 64, the number repeats all over again. It repeats all over again. So it has come to a full circle. And therefore 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. And so the numbers that are missing will be 3, 6, 3, 6 and 9. 3, 6 and 9. Therefore this is way back into the original secret geometry, where the 3 secret numbers, that means this, basically in the ancient they call it 369 is secret, in a sense that it's not part of the natural. The natural human world is 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. And therefore that's it with the 9. So 9 is the last number. So this will be how the I Ching has some root, has some tie back to some of the earlier maths in this part. Alright, so basically to comprehend I Ching is to comprehend the maths, but the mathematics of course is the vortex mathematics that comes from it. Okay, so let us continue our journey on Pacha. So as you come into the study of Pacha, the analogy is very close to chemistry. So you can find that there are certain things that we talk about. What do we talk about? We talk about combine. We talk about combination. And like the study of chemistry, also the same thing. Water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. So therefore, combination tends to bond, and bonds tends to find the element to be one that lower the frequency. So we can say that hydrogen and oxygen can be very active elements, but once combined, the volatility decline. So basically bring greater stability into the person's life. Alright, so after the combination that we have looked upon, now we can see that so what have I just described earlier on will also be a little bit more about things that we won't cover, which is the chapter 1, the origin of the 5 elements, or the origin of the heavenly stems and earthly branches. Okay, so where are we? We have done number 3. Number 3 is done. Number 4 is done. So is number 5. And the last week we have done 6 and 7. And we have also in a way covered number 11. Okay, so today will be the last part on these earthly branches and the fundamental, before we then move on to the other types of chapters along. So this will be where we are. So we can then say that we are now 6 chapters down, 257 more to go. As it is. So chapter 8 now, clash. So now has come into clash. Now once again, as we covered the topic clashes and combination. Now again, not all combinations are good, but definitely combinations have a good beginning. At least it has a good beginning. So that's at least for sure. It's for sure that you have a good beginning. But whether the ending is good or not, then we share, like what we shared last week, whether the combination. So to know that it is good, that would be where if we can combine away the negative elements. So what is good? So what would be a good outcome? A good outcome would be one where we find that the negative elements, the harmful elements, are basically combined away. So as they are combined away, then that would bring better stability to the chart. Alright, so now as we explore the clash. Now clash by itself on the first surface is negative. So the word itself brings something that is in conflict. So it has definitely a negative beginning, right? It has a connotation of a negative beginning. Losing your job, accidents, hurt, conflicts, argument, definitely signatures of clashes. And so when clashes come, people tend to be more conservative, fearful, because naturally negative clashes would not favor. But again, the question now is whether or not that clash would bring better outcome in the future. So once again, we refer to the beginning, and we also want to see what would be the end. What would be the end? Now, in the first part, as we look into clashes, who would stand better? Who would stand better in terms of clashes? Who would stand better in terms of clashes? In terms of clashes, we will consider that the one who stands better at clashes would be naturally the Yang Day Master. So the Yang Day Master would stand better at clashes compared to Yin. Because Yin tends to be the receiver. Yin receives, Yang produces or gives, or a bit more active. So therefore the clashes. But then again, Yang and Yang clashes can be quite hard. So that's one. Secondly, of course, is strong Day Master. If the Day Master is strong, if the Day Master is rooted. So strong and rooting would then withstand clashes better. And of course, the one that has its own rooting. So if the pillar itself, if it has a self pillar, friend, or basically if it's friend. So the moment your Day Master is rooted on the friend, technically you are a Rockwell goat blade to somebody else. It is not you. That means this pillar is a Rockwell goat blade to other people. And so if you have a pillar that is a Rockwell goat blade to other people, then you have the upper hand and you tend to win. So therefore, in a way, the clash is that if there's a clash, who wins? Who wins? Who loses? That may be something that we may want to ask, and so we can then grade based on the quality of the Day Master. Alright, so as we move along, how do we determine clashes? In the determination of clashes, the number is 7. The number is 7. So we consider that after 6. So in the book, it was arranged in this manner, and therefore, if rat is number 1, first on the list, followed by the ox and the tiger and the rabbit, the dragon and the snake. Therefore, the snake represents number 6, and therefore number 7, the 7 is the 7th animal sign to the 1 becomes the clash. So this is very similar to 7 killing. So it is the same concept, the 7 killing in the 10 elements, but this is then number 7 to the element. So therefore that would then be a clash. So in this case, we then establish the first clash would then be a clash between the rat and the horse. The rat and the horse. That's how we can determine it. Right, so from Yi Ching, so from the origin of Yi Ching, in the hexagram of the 6 lines, number 7 represents the limit of the extreme. Therefore, the 7th position results in a clash. So in the heaven, we call it 7 killing, and in concept of Yi Ching of course has up to 6 lines. So there are 6 lines in Yi Ching. Therefore, that would be just the concept of how some of the origin comes in. Alright, directional opposition. Directional opposition, of course, will be in the perspective of feng shui, of course. So in terms of feng shui, the element that is number 7 is, of course, a full circle, and is a full circle to you. So essentially, if we find where the rat is, so the rat will be right above, and right opposite, of course, will then be the so-called, so as it is, it's always just direct. Direct. Alright, hidden elements. So here we have also discussed hidden elements. So the clash also will be exactly where the hidden elements themselves are clashes. Therefore, again, the clashes are dispersion. Dispersion of the elements rather than combine, the opposite of combination. And again, it can be either beneficial or otherwise. And so what will be beneficial? Well, when it clashes away your negative elements. So if you have a negative elements and it clashes, then that's when it is a favorable outcome. And likewise, if it removes a favorable element, then negative it is. And so we still have direct clashes and distant clashes, and that has to do with the proximity on the chart as usual. So the clashes have to be seen between the distance, So if we consider clashes, for example, the chart that we have in the earlier part, this is by Claudia, whether if there's any destruction or any clashes that we can see, then of course it will be deemed to be direct. So direct has to be side by side. So if it is not side by side, then it will be deemed as distant, a distant chart. Alright, and so now let's take a look into this chart. Let's take a look into this chart. As usual, let's go through what we normally do. When you look at the chart, the first point is, of course, the day master. This is a pink fire day master. Pink fire day master born in the season of the ox, which is winter. The season is out, so the day master is weak. This is a day master that is weak. And is there routing for this day master? There is a bit of a partial routing in the direct wealth. Therefore, it's a minor routing. So it's not fantastic, but at least the day master is born during the day. Therefore, a pink fire born at noon at least has some point to support it. So it's not so bad, not entirely very bad. But the weekday master, nonetheless, a winter sun. So this is a winter sun. Alright, so as we look into the strength of the day master, and then of course we explore the elements. So we'll see what will be the kind of elements. Immediately one can take note that there is water everywhere. So this water would then be dominant, and water represents the officer, so it counters against the sun. Alright, and so here we see that there is a clash. What clash are we referring to? What clash is that? So we have the horse and rat clash. So this, that's right, Gavin, correct you. So therefore, with the horse and rat clash is a clash between the direct officer and rock wealth. In terms of personal relationship, for a female, that will be a clash between the husband and her siblings. So it could be a family clash, Moreover, it may be related to children, as it is on the hour pillar, and it has to do with the spouse pillar as well. So it's a personal clash, and the clash is far away from the ear, so far away from the eyes of the public. This is a personal internal clash of the branches. so you wouldn't know. So therefore there is a clash. Then we can try to understand. And this clash is of course when the water has the potential to snuff out the part. So therefore the aggressor. So the aggressor would then be the direct officer. And direct officer, if it's a male, may represents the boss against the partner. So therefore superior against partners, against your peers. Therefore there may be a conflict of interest between receiving instruction from the boss and also the welfare of your team members. So it could be like that. It could be read as career. It can also be read as health and so on. So of course we are aware that there is yet another. So yeah, there's yet another rat. This rat is also one that could have a clash, but it's more distant. It's more distant. So if we read this distance, then this hour will be the facade of the day master, so it would be visible. People can see. And so looks like the water and the season is winter. So with the season of winter, we can then find that that the water dominant clash against the rock wealth that is very weak. However, this rock wealth may be weak, so it may manifest more of the negative aspects of rock wealth. So you may read more of it. Therefore, this may be where we can consider that fire is being overwhelmed, unable to maintain its influence. So this fire is vulnerable, unsupported. So you cannot stand the force, so it may be read as something that is negative. Moreover, red is a peach blossom. Do you recall that? Red is a peach blossom, and likewise a horse also the same. And so this is also a peach blossom clash. So peach blossom clash would be very emotional, marital affair. It could be a love triangle. It could be somewhat resulting to attraction. So this may be also one that we can consider as well. And furthermore, the pillar is indirect resource sitting on rock wealth, which is not very auspicious. These are the negative stars. And so we may find that the person is surrounded with resources on the left and to the right. And resource tends to make people think, and this person may overthink, and may experience the negative aspect of the rock wealth. Right, so this is where we consider the element of clash and how one can begin to understand the effects of it. Now let's take a look into this case. What clash would you be able to find? Here there is a clash. You can observe a clash between the rat and the horse. It's again there is a clash between the rat and the horse. However, we can also take note that this time the clash is distant. So there is a distant clash. As it is a distant clash, we now see that this clash is being buffered by the existence of a rabbit, distance of a rabbit. So the rabbit may play the role of being an intermediary. We can see how it may play a role. So here we see that the rat represents water, the horse represents fire. So this would be quite a clash, can be very imbalanced. And now here there is this presence of the wood. So where do we find your, where do we find the element of the red? So the red, if it is water, so if the red is, what would be, so here we see that what is red, what is water to a Wu-earth? To a Wu-earth, the red represents your direct wealth. So the red represents your direct wealth, water, and then fire. What does fire represent? Your, so you have a water, and then of course you have your fire. Fire, what is fire to it? It's a resource, therefore it's a resource. So you see that this is a direct resource versus direct wealth. So we have a direct resource in terms of the thing fire. Then of course we have your water in terms of your grey water. And so this is where the wealth clash against the resource. So what symbolism do we have when wealth clashes against the resource? Tendency of overwork, tendency of career stress. Because when one makes too much money, wealth deteriorates the health. And therefore the clash may be a scenario where the person suddenly gets engrossed, trapped into a life where the person needs to work to make money, and the search for making money resulted in sacrificing health. Therefore this would be one of those wealth controlling resource phenomena. And so here we consider the wood, we consider the intermediary. We consider the intermediary. So the intermediary, it will be one where the element is in between. So here the element is wood, the element is wood. And if you can recall, if there is wood, then we may argue that, or we can then see that that creates what we call the heavenly flow. The heavenly flow happens when we read a chart has water producing wood and wood producing fire. So once we see that there's a flow, then it becomes somewhat a positive feature. And so heavenly flow supersedes on the clash. So the rabbit here mitigates the clash. It mitigates. So once it mitigates, there are two reasons how it mitigates. Number one is there is a presence of a distance. So this is a distance clash. So it's a distance clash and there is a rabbit. So with the presence of the rabbit is what we consider to be a mediator, because here the wood is then nourished by the fire and fuel the fire. Therefore this one would reduce the intensity, and this is where we may call it forgetting the clash and in favor of the group. Now don't worry about this. Of course, ancient Chinese or even until today has all kinds of poems in order to help them to memorize. So the presence of the wood diminishes the clash. It diminishes and it turns something, so it transforms something that is potentially disruptive now to something that is a balance. Okay, so the remedy. So now here we see that what is the remedy. So let's come back to this chart. Okay, come back to this chart here. It's the same rat and horse. It's the same rat and horse clash. But is there an intermediary here? Do you find an intermediary? So do you find an intermediary? So you do find that there is an intermediary in the form of the wood or the stem, and therefore that might mitigate. Ken, you mentioned earth, but earth is not in between. Earth is not in between the water and fire. So what is in between water and fire is wood. So earth is not the intermediary. It's not the intermediary. Alright, so in a way, if we have a rat and a horse, then the intermediary may be the rabbit, or maybe the rabbit. And in terms of the rabbit, then of course we can see that the remedy may be in feng shui. So sometimes when we consider that we use Pa Chi to diagnose, we use feng shui to remedy. So the rabbit is in your East 2 quadrant, isn't it? East 2 quadrant. So to find out the East 2 quadrant where it may be along the line. Alright, so therefore that's where the one part to remedy against the clash, whenever that may happen. Alright, let's move along to the next part as we cover. Let's look into the case that is given in the book on a particular person by the name of Shi Lang, if I can pronounce the name correctly. So very quickly, let's just take a peek. So this person was a powerful character during the Ming and Qing dynasty. Yes, correct. You have yes, you made a correct statement. So that's for anyway, rabbit is also a peach blossom. Rabbit is also a peach blossom, and now these two are peach blossom. Putting peach blossom together is also not the best, the strong element. So I was more gravitated towards East 2, East 3, sorry. East 3. So avoid the rabbit, avoid the rabbit. So try to avoid the rabbit and take the 102, take the East 3, something like that. Okay? Along the line. Or a jiawood is also okay, a jiawood is also fine. It's in fact, a jiawood can also be more harmonious, because you got Gui water yin produces yang wood produces yin, therefore the flow is also harmonious. So the remedy would be better. Avoid another peach blossom. To have two peach blossom clashes, it would be best to avoid that. Right, let's come back to this person by the name of Shi Lang. Ting Fire Day Master, born in the height of spring. Quite strong, so the character is quite. So the Day Master is in the growth era, strong. Ting Fire Day Master is partially rooted. But there's just one thing, the hour, because when you deal with fire people, you will have to see the hour that they were born, and they were born in the hour of the rooster, so it's still daytime, afternoon. So it's a strong Day Master, but it has the hour. Alright, so in terms of clash, what clash would we be referring to? Therefore here we will see that for the Ting Fire, the clash that we would be referring to would be the rooster clashing against the rabbit, with also another distant rooster there. So we do find that there is going to be clashes between the sin metal against the eat wood, so against the eat wood. So what is sin metal to a Ting Fire Day Master? Therefore that would be your indirect wealth, indirect wealth. And what would be a yi wood to a Ting Fire? There will be an indirect resource. So this will not be an indirect resource clashing against an indirect wealth. Alright, so with this in mind, so this clash between the rooster and the rabbit. So there will be potential conflicts, because there's going to be a lot of wood and a lot of metal clash between here. And so we do consider that the favorable element can be wood, because ting fire burns on wood. It's a resource element, and somehow it can be overwhelmed. It can be overwhelmed by the strong metal influence. So this may be deemed to be unfavorable, because here the ting fire feeds on wood. Fire feeds on wood. Ting fire, not ping. Ping fire doesn't feed, but ting fire feeds on wood. Therefore, as it feeds on wood, it needs wood. And how many wood element is that? Just this. Just this has a wood element. Therefore, the sin metal is clashing. Sin metal is clashing in. So this G wood is surrounded by metal, sin metal all around. So therefore the element of metal can be quite substantially strong. So it hurts against the G wood. So therefore this will be where we can see that the clash can be read. Right. And so with the day master being weak, with strong metal overpowering, this imbalance would consider how the imbalance would consider that has he achieved his success, there is also a lot of personal challenges and struggles. So this clash comes along. That his journey was also with a lot of personal tragedies as well. Therefore, this would be considered to be an unfavorable clash. So it has a clash which is also unfavorable. Right, now next we take a look into Emperor Qianlong. Again, very quickly, this is a Keng metal. Keng metal born in rooster month, born in season, day master, strong. So day master is definitely very prosperous. So this is a prosperous, supported by sin metal in the year step. Now, what does a Keng metal needs to be useful? Keng metal needs baptism of fire. Therefore, Keng metal finds ting fire to be useful. So this ting fire is a useful element. Surrounded by fire. Because metal needs to be forged. Keng metal needs to be forged to become useful. So Keng Day Master can be stubborn, can be slow learner, can be rebellious, can be a troubled kid during his or her childhood, until the person meets the baptism of fire, before the person becomes refined. And so Keng Day Master is yang. Keng Day Master needs the harshness of a kind and good teacher in the form of direct officer. So having a good boss, having a good teacher, having a good disciplinarian will shape the day master. Therefore, fire definitely will be good. You're right, Big Boy. Bingo. 4 peach blossom. Hit the jackpot. So we have has the peach blossom flush. This is Emperor Qianlong. Alright. Therefore, here we can consider that the clash. Now here we look at the clash. The Keng Day Master is being controlled by two fires. So you can see that they are controlled by two fires, Ping fire and Ting fire. So therefore, if the fire element is too strong, then it can be. The fire is rooted because deep into horse is the rooting, is being rooted into it. And therefore here we see that Ping and Ting are rooted. The Wu of fire provides, and the presence of the Mao, supports the fire. Therefore there is wood that feeds the fire. And therefore the fire can be considered to be strong. And if the fire is too strong, then we consider that if a fire is too strong, now it melts the metal. And so potentially melting the metal is when the metal becomes over controlled or too controlled. And now we look into the clash. So what clash do we find? And therefore we find that there is a clash between the rat and the horse. We also find another clash between the rooster and the rabbit. Therefore they're all clashes, peach blossom clashes, all around. Right, so with the peach blossom clashes all around, then that would be deemed to be one. So here we do consider that with the clash, the one part here it reads that the water clashes with the fire, removing the roots to the fire. Therefore the way that it was read is that the horse represents the rooting, and so since there's an earthly clash, the clash will take away the root, it will remove away the root. So the root is clashed away. Therefore, here we see that the root is being clashed away. So as it's clashed away, then it would weaken the effects of your fire. And moreover, the wood feeds the fire, and therefore this root is also clashed away, and therefore the root that feeds the fire is also clashed away, cutting it. And therefore here, the considering that the balance now shift, and so this is what it means when we say the fire refining the true metal. And so Keng metal needs baptism of fire to make it useful. And so here the book or the literature calls for or argues that don't worry so much about all this. There are just so many poems and so many labels to be given, and here is just one of them that says that this chart now becomes auspicious. So what we would want to consider, of course, is that this chart, the author of the chart, YHZP, considers that this chart is auspicious, even though like what Pik Pui would have highlighted, that here you have all the 4 peach blossom clashes. So not to say that life is overly fantastic, But anyway, just to narrate to what was written by the book. Right, so this represents your concept. So it represents the concept of clashes. So clashes would be the direct opposite. So to recap onto this part, of course, the argument for the clash. So the argument for your clash is considered to be, so the element for the clash is considered to be one where you find an intermediary. You find an intermediary. Okay, now if let's say here we have a Rainwater Day Master. If this is a Rainwater Day Master and the year is dog. The year is dog. Now what does dog clashes with? What does dog clashes with? Fantastic. Okay, dog clashes with the dragon. So it's a 5 yang against a 5 yin. Therefore, the dog clashes with the dragon. So dog and dragon, earth and earth. Earth and earth is earthquake. So earth clashing with earth is earthquake. The clash results in changing of jobs. Changing of jobs. So therefore, yang earth against yang earth. As opposed to earlier on, when we look into the rat, which is a kueh water, against your horse, which is your ting fire. So this is elemental clash, kueh water and ting fire. If we look into the tiger is the jia. Tiger clashes with what? Tiger clashes with the monkey. Clashes with the monkey, which is the keng metal. Therefore, jia and keng represents your elemental clash. So now this is earth and earth. So earth and earth would be changing jobs, and when earth and earth clashes, all the elements may be released. So as it is. Right. So here, as we find that when we have a dog and dragon, then what remedy can you find? What remedy can you find? There's not much of a remedy, isn't it? It's not much of a remedy. Therefore, because why? These are elemental curves. Therefore, you can see what happens if there's an earth and earth. And that goes the same with your ox. Ox clashes with what? Ox clashes with your goat. Fantastic. Ox clashes with your goat. Therefore, this is yin earth clashing with yin earth. Also, earth and earth. Earth and earth. But this earth is yin earth. So not yang earth, but yin earth. Therefore, normally it represents, unlike the mountain, it represents a bit more about shaky foundation collapsing. Therefore, it's also earth and earth. So both of them shares the same element. So if this earth and earth, then you can see the element comes in. Therefore, here earth is different. Earth is a bit different from the others. But let's go back to the monkey and the tiger. The monkey and the tiger. So what is monkey to a Ren Day master? The monkey is keng. And what is keng metal to a Ren Day master? Indirect resource. Indirect resource. And what is tiger? Tiger is your jia. And Ren and jia is what? Your eating god, which is your eating. So therefore, tiger represents the eating. Right, so if that's the case, then what is the remedy? What is then the remedy? What is the remedy? The remedy for the keng and the jia would then be yourself. So it's a self. So the remedy represents yourself, which is your friend star, your friend star. The friend star that would be good would be your kueh water. Kueh water. Kueh water is your rock wealth, isn't it? Not your friend star, but your rock wealth. Because then the producing is that the metal produces water, and water produces wood. Therefore, the remedy will be rock wealth. So when remedy is rock wealth or kueh water, then essentially, in terms of remedy, feng shui remedy, of course, would then find location, or people remedy would then find the people who have the sign. Which animal represents the kueh water? Okay, Ken, your question, does the remedy needs to be present? No, it doesn't need to be present. it will be fantastic if you can. It is better if the remedy is in a chart. Therefore, the remedy will be easier. It's internal solution. I mean, if you have, that's right, Jess is correct, if there's a peak. So if there is a peak, then of course the peak can then remedy. Failure in which then external remedy. So external remedy in terms of function, or external remedy in terms of people. And therefore, the best people to overcome this clash or mitigate would then be the peak. So if this is a problem, indirect resource can mean legal problem. Because resource is documentation. Document can be a document problem, and your eating god can be your staff problem. Can be a staff problem. It can be your creativity, and for female can be your children problem. This can be your mother-in-law and children problem. And therefore, the solution or the remedy is to find kueh water to soften it. Kueh water is the remedy. And kueh water can be a location. A location as in to go northeast for kueh water. So therefore, it can be a location, it can be a person, or it can bring meaning. So therefore, we'll bring kueh water meaning to life in how to mitigate or to soften. Okay, so when metal acts, when the axe metal in the monkey wants to chop the wood in the tiger, then water soften the blow. So water cushions the clash. And so in every aspect except for earth, so that's why I brought up earth, except for earth and earth, except for dragon and dog, except for ox and goat. Therefore, here all the other elements we can then find mitigating. Can find a mitigating in terms of remedying the clash. But of course, to remedy the clash is to soften the clash. But then, as we discussed the materials, some clashes are favorable. So in all simplicity, if it clashes against an unfavorable element, then you may still want to soften the clash, because clash gives you a negative taste, a negative experience, which you wouldn't like it either, even though the outcome is good. But you would like to actually just mitigate it nonetheless. Anyway, metal and wood clash also may represent accident. Accident. It may also represent accident. So metal clashing, wood, and so you would like to mitigate that as well. Alright, so with this we would have completed yet another chapter, and this chapter that we have done would have been completed. And so next week we'll then move on to chapter 8 then. So looks like, no, not 8 is a clash. We'll move on to your chapter 9 as we look into harm. So once we're done, then we'll explore destructions and punishments and so on. Alright, so that's it for today. So I'll wish you good night. I'll see you next week then. Thank you all.